Hi, my name is Joe Johnson, and I'm assistant professor of photography here at MU. I've been here for 1 year, and I'm going to share selections of work from 3 different projects. Uh, I am from initially the Midwest. I'm from Kansas, and I'm very aware of being dominated by the horizon, the 360-degree, uninterrupted, horizontal understanding of space. And this first work, the city pictures were made in very large East Coast cities that were made in New York primarily and Boston. So going from the horizontal to the vertical was an intriguing picture possibility. And I began to start making images at night from high up and to emphasize this verticality, this vertiginous quality of living in a city, not understanding sort of where to stand. And also, to begin with this picture, I remember framing it up and realizing it sort of hit me that within the single frame, by the sum of the lit windows alone, I could represent the entire population of my hometown in Kansas. This is called Alley with Fire Escape, and this is one of the very first pictures in the series that I felt was successful. This is where I had, for the first time, I think, successfully merged the elevation and the nightlight to create something that's a little more fictive, a little more like a Hitchcock movie. That first picture you saw, where I said it reminded me of the entire population of a small town, is maybe more about the collective experience of a city, but a picture like this of the flower pot, also is about the individual experience. And again, speaking of vertigo, this picture is made looking almost directly down between 2 buildings with a clothesline running down the center. At first, when I began the project, I would consciously try to de-emphasize the voyeuristic content of the work. Wasn't terribly interested in actually rendering people clearly within the windows, maybe because I didn't want to be responsible for the questions. But then I realized that, to live in a city is essentially to make that choice. It's a voyeuristic act. You're literally a collection of individual lives stacked on top of each other. So one of the great benefits for a photographer is being able to look at a lot of different kinds of people. This next project, also architectural, is a little more topical. It's about the megachurch phenomenon. And I came to this project when I attended a service with my mother, who was part of a megachurch in Raleigh, North Carolina. And it was the best of all worlds. It was a project possibility that was topical and also visual at the same time. And I was interested in the way that delivering sacred content had taken on this kind of pop culture strategy. The work has been received in a number of different ways. There are many who feel that a lot of the views are a very cynical representation of the subject. I take their point. But then again, my evangelical Christian megachurch attending mother just gave me a list of 4 of the images that she'd like me to print so she can put them in her kitchen. So there is an aspect of each person bringing what they're likely to see in it regardless to the work. If you see it as essentially mean-spirited, as somebody in the Boston Phoenix wrote, then I understand. I understand that when I'm making a picture of a kind of ironic, extremely large tissue box, garishly lit, that I'm actually in that sequence saying something about what people value. I have to remember that. In this final group of images, it's actually a sort of a license to be frivolous. These are pictures that I made in between more deliberate projects, pictures that are loosely sequenced together, having to do with various fleeting atmospheric conditions. I enjoy photographing anywhere I go, whether it's to give lectures, whether it's to photograph these churches, to photograph in cities. And so my orphans, I call them, the pictures that do not neatly fit into other projects. I'm finding a rather loose organizing principle so that I can feel better about showing them. And I've lived in a number of places over the last 10 years. I've lived on the West Coast, on the East Coast. I've lived a couple places in the Midwest. So photography's always been about connecting to a new place for me.